The 26th of April, 1986. 23 minutes past 1 in the morning. Above a sleeping district, a column of light rises into the sky. Violet and almost beautiful. But no one in the town suspects that this light is deadly. It is ionized air, glowing above an open reactor core. Was it an accident? Or a failure that someone wanted to hide? On this night, roughly 49,000 people are asleep in the city of Pripyat. Only 3 kilometers away, the open core of a reactor is burning. And they do not know it, and no one is going to tell them. Not on this night, and not the next morning. The city sleeps on, while an invisible cloud drifts across the rooftops. Its people have only a few hours left, in which everything still seems normal. For 36 hours, the truth stays hidden. Only then are the residents given 50 minutes. 50 minutes to pack up everything their lives had been. After that, no one ever comes back. The clocks in the apartments have stood still ever since. And the calendars on the walls still show that one single spring. People are still searching for answers to these questions today. And the city that was left behind is now full of stories. Some of these stories are true. Others should never be believed. To tell the two apart, you first have to understand what really happened in those few seconds. And what followed was stranger still. Pripyat was once a model city. Young, modern, built for the workers of the power plant. The average age was just 26. There were swimming pools, a cinema, a brand new amusement park. It was a promise of the future. But that promise had a crack in it, hidden deep in the heart of the reactor. To understand what happened, you have to know the reactor itself. Its type was called the RBMK, a Soviet design, built for high output and low cost. It carried a dangerous flaw in its core. At low power, it did not become more stable. It became unpredictable. And that is exactly the state it was running in on that night. The reason lay in a physical contradiction. In most reactors, steam slows the reaction down. In this one, steam speeds it up. More steam meant more power, and more power produced still more steam. Engineers call it a positive feedback loop. At low power, that effect turned into a deadly trap. That night, a safety test was supposed to run. They wanted to check whether a slowing turbine could keep the pumps supplied. But the power fell far lower than planned, almost to a standstill. To keep going, the operators pulled out nearly all the control rods. The last safety margin was gone, and no one in the room understood the real danger. At 1:23:40, the decision was made. An operator pressed the emergency button, AZ5. It was meant to shut the reactor down at once, but here the deadliest flaw was waiting. The control rods had tips made of graphite, and graphite sped the reaction up instead of slowing it down. For one brief moment, the power surged instead of falling. At the very instant that was supposed to save everything. Within seconds, the core overheated. The pressure ruptured the channels, and the sinking control rods jammed halfway down. But what happened next, no one in the control room could yet imagine. Then came 2 explosions, only seconds apart. The first was steam. The second tore the heavy roof wide open. It hurled burning graphite and glowing nuclear fuel into the night. The reactor core now lay open, beneath the open sky. And above the hall rose that violet column, the one that could be seen for kilometers. On the roof of the turbine hall, an inferno broke out. The bitumen surface caught fire at once. Only a single wall separated the destroyed reactor from the next block. Had that block caught fire too, the disaster would have grown far larger. So men climbed onto a roof that was slowly killing them. And still, none of them knew what was truly raining down. The first firefighters wore no protective suits, no masks, no measuring devices. Some lifted burning blocks of graphite with their bare hands. They tasted metal on their tongues, and their skin began to burn. 2 men died in that very first night. In all, 134 people fell ill with acute radiation sickness. 28 of them died within the first weeks. While the fire still burned, a second failure began. This time, not a technical one, but a human one. In the morning, Mikhail Gorbachev was woken. He was told there had been an explosion, but that the reactor was intact. That was false. Yet the next decisions rested on that false report. A single sentence that would change everything. In Pripyat, life went on. Children played in the streets. Brides posed for their wedding photos. And above them all drifted the invisible cloud. The people noticed only strange signs. Policemen wearing masks. Vehicles spraying a white foam onto the roads. And that metallic taste that no one could explain. Behind the scenes, another decision was made. The city's telephone lines were cut. Workers were forbidden to speak about the accident. Anyone who talked was threatened by the secret police. They wanted no panic. And so, the most dangerous information never reached the very people who needed it most. The people themselves. Only in the evening did a senior official arrive from Moscow, 18 hours after the explosion. The radiation on the central square had long since climbed to dangerous levels. Scientists demanded an immediate evacuation, but the authorities still hesitated. And the reason for it is hard to bear, even today. Under an old regulation from 1963, a forced evacuation was only permitted above 75 Roentgens. The calculated dose for the residents lay well below that, so they did not act. On paper, everything was correct. In truth, thousands of children were breathing in radioactive iodine, a poison that a single simple tablet could have blocked. To smother the burning core, helicopters flew hundreds of missions. They dropped sand, clay, and lead into the glowing hole. A nearby pine forest absorbed so much radiation that its needles turned red. They called it the Red Forest. To this day, it ranks among the most toxic places on Earth, and the men who worked there often did not know the true danger. The next afternoon, the announcement finally came. The people were given 50 minutes. They called it temporary, just for 3 days. So they left their pets behind, their photographs, their winter coats. Over 1,000 buses carried nearly 47,000 people away. None of them ever saw their home again. What do you think? Was it caution or a cover-up? Write it in the comments. Today, Pripyat is a city made of silence. Trees grow through the balconies of the high-rise blocks. In the apartments, calendars still hang, frozen in April of 1986. Nature has taken back what the people left behind. Yet in some places within the zone, the radiation still waits. And every place tells its own story. The most famous image of the city is a Ferris wheel. Its yellow cabins were meant to open on the 1st of May. But that day never came. The wheel has never officially turned. Beneath one of its cabins, you can still measure one of the hottest radiation spots in the park. Officially, no child ever sat in these cabins. a place made for the voices of children, now filled only by silence. In one hospital lies an even darker place. In the basement, the uniforms of the first firefighters are piled up. Their boots, their helmets, their jackets. They are so contaminated that the room remains deadly to this day. They sealed the stairway with sand so that no one goes down. What lies below will stay dangerous for centuries. In one school, a sea of small gas masks covers the floor. Thousands of children's masks scattered among crumbling books. They were never meant for the radiation. They were a relic of the Cold War. In a kindergarten, rusted beds and dolls still stand. 30 years of dust have made their eyes go blind. It is as if someone had simply stopped time. At the center lies the Luzerny swimming pool. Its empty basin and rusted diving boards look as if frozen in place. Astonishingly, it stayed in use for years after the disaster. It served the workers who remained at the plant. In the apartments around it, pianos still stand, their keys yellowed, and wardrobes full of coats that no one ever came back for. At the edge of the city stands a factory called Jupiter. Officially, it built tape recorders. In truth, it was a cover for military electronics. After the disaster, it became a laboratory for the study of radiation. In its basement, to this day, stand boxes of a dark, highly radioactive powder. Anyone who enters that basement risks a deadly dose in only minutes. Above the forests towers a gigantic antenna, a secret radar from the Cold War. Because of its signal, they called it the Russian woodpecker. Not far from it rusts the claw, a grabber that once cleared the radioactive graphite from the roof. It is still dangerous today. Each of these places is a frozen moment from a world that suddenly stood still. Where mystery and fear meet, legends grow. The most famous is called the Bridge of Death. As the story goes, people stood on this bridge and watched the colorful fire, and that every one of them died soon after. The story is gripping, but the evidence tells us something else. The explosion happened just after 1, while the city was asleep. The windows did not shatter, and hardly anyone noticed a thing. No one stood on that bridge that night. In the morning, the police sealed it off. The name is even older than the catastrophe. It came from serious traffic accidents at this very spot. So the legend is false. Yet it shows just how deeply the truth was missing. Another legend tells of a great black bird with fiery eyes. Workers claim to have seen it in the weeks before the catastrophe, as an omen of disaster. There is no proof of this creature. Ornithologists suspect it was cranes, mistaken in the dark, and the sheer exhaustion of men under enormous pressure. Yet what they truly saw remains their own story to this day. Around the zone, darker rumors still spread, of giant spiders, of mutations, of a child said to be immune to cancer. The truth is more sober. Only a single child was born in the zone after the disaster. It came into the world completely healthy. Of any immunity to radiation, there is no trace. Nature adapts, but it works no miracles. Some stories from the zone are true, and for that very reason, unsettling. A high-tech robot from West Germany was meant to clear the roof. They called it the Joker, but the Soviets told its makers a far lower figure. The true radiation was much higher. Seconds after it began, its electronic brain burned out. In the end, they sent human beings where even machines had failed. Behind the legends stand real people. To secure the site, the Soviet Union brought in around 600,000 liquidators. They built the first sarcophagus over the core, but the highest price was paid by the children. Among the children, especially, thyroid cancer cases rose dramatically. Nearly 20,000 in total, around 5,000 of them directly from contaminated milk. How many people died in total is still disputed today. The estimates range from 4,000 to over 90,000. The exact number will most likely stay hidden forever between those two figures. Deep beneath the reactor, something began to form that had never existed anywhere before. A molten mass of nuclear fuel, sand, and concrete. They came to call it the elephant's foot. In the first years, its radiation was so strong that a few minutes near it could be fatal. No one can touch it. No one can take it away. And it will stay dangerous for many thousands of years. But something happened that no one had expected. Without people, life returned. Wolves now roam through the zone, 7 times denser than outside it. Wild horses graze on abandoned fields. Some old people even returned in secret to their villages. They were called the self-settlers. They wanted to die where they had been born. For them, the poisoned earth was still their home. Over the destroyed reactor lies a vast arch of steel today. 32,000 tons, built to seal in the radiation for a century. But the real lesson lies deeper. The greatest catastrophe was not the reactor alone. It was a system that concealed the truth until it was too late. For it was not the radiation alone that claimed the first victims. It was the silence that came before it. In the end, the heaviest consequences were not only physical. More than 200,000 people were uprooted forever. Many lost not just their homes, but every sense of ground beneath them. Fear, mistrust, and uncertainty stayed with them for the rest of their lives. And the core itself will not be truly safe for another 20,000 years. Pripyat stands today as a silent monument. A modern city, stopped in a single spring. Nature has returned. People have not. Some wounds do not heal. They are only slowly overgrown by trees. Yet walk through these empty streets, and you still feel the people who once lived here. And over the reactor remains the memory of that violet light. Calm, almost beautiful, and deadly. It was the first sign, and the people who saw it did not understand. Perhaps that is the true lesson of Chernobyl. The most dangerous truths are often the ones you cannot see. And you? Do you believe it was only a tragic accident? Or a failure that someone wanted to cover up? Write your theory in the comments. Some places never forget what happened to them. They keep the memory in concrete and in silence. They are witnesses that never speak and yet know everything. Another mystery like this one is already waiting, next, on our channel. For the darkest stories are rarely the ones we are told. They are the ones that someone wanted to hide.